Hey Messiah family, welcome to our annual report. You know, over the years we have done a written annual report to you all, but 2020 has been different, hasn't it? So you know what, we thought, why not do something different for the annual report as well? You know, sometimes words just don't capture fully everything that we do here at Messiah and the wonderful things that happen. So we thought, let's put a video together. Let's put an actual visual together so people can watch, and I hope that, like you, be amazed at the amazing things that we decided to accomplish in 2020. So I want to give thanks for this video first of all to Laura for putting it together, for everyone who sent in their pictures and their reports to Laura so that she could put this together. And so I hope that you, like me, by the end of this video are inspired, because I know I was after reading everything that happened this year, and it is thanks to you all. All right, well, let's get started, shall we? January and February months were just like normal until about mid-February. We heard rumblings of COVID-19, but we really didn't understand the impact it was about to have. Chrysalis began the year with their 152 students and 32 staff. We at Messiah welcomed 8 new families into our community in January. And pre-pandemic, Messiah was providing a meeting space for 6 12-step program groups. Not only that, but Messiah's community garden continued to grow. While a pandemic doesn't really affect how produce grows, we have some amazing things to share when it comes to Messiah's community garden. In 2020, they planted sweet potatoes, carrots, cucumbers, green beans, onions, radishes, turnips, an assortment of greens, tomatoes, cantaloupe, watermelon, okra, and eggplant, and pumpkin. Ron Richter is our garden manager and Carl Boehm is our garden engineer, and we can't thank them enough. Twice a week, volunteers continue to show up and to support the ongoing operations in our community garden. Occasional work days involve larger projects like planting or harvesting, as well as helping to landscape the campus and develop the herb garden. People from the community even came. Key Club, people who participated in garden classes, all came and volunteered in our community garden. What a wonderful, great new way of understanding the community in Messiah's community garden. And we are incredibly grateful for the volunteers from both Messiah and our community in their efforts for our community garden. Because of volunteer labor, by the end of the year, our garden will have produced 1,000 pounds of fresh, organic produce to Cam and to Terry's Hope. What a blessing indeed. Right before the pandemic hit in February, for our missions ministry, I, along with Desi and Messiah member Maima Varney, traveled to Liberia with Pastor Roland of Ruach Life Center to see and to learn and to observe Ruach Liberia, and to see about ways that we could partner in ministry with them there. The fruits of that trip would come later in 2020 as we launched new missions emphasis centered around the children that attend school there, as well as the church. And all other Messiah ministries were functioning like always. And then COVID hit. In mid-February, beginning of March, we then began to see the impacts of COVID-19. In worship, we had to move completely to online only. It was a choice to do that because we wanted to be sure that we were protecting our members. part of loving God is making sure that we look out for one another. However, we never knew it would last a majority of 2020. But good things did come out of it. We were able to invest and get a new camera system for our online streaming platform that allowed us to enhance our online worship. Overall, our worship grew in 2020. Our attendance increased over 2019. And we ended up the year averaging 307 a Sunday. That was up from the 285 per week the previous year. Over 16,000 people worshiped with us this year. 14 states tuned in to our worships, including Texas, California, Tennessee, Minnesota, Virginia, Illinois, Iowa, Washington, Oregon, New Mexico, Michigan, South Carolina, New York, and Wisconsin. Not only that, we had people tune in from 8 different countries around the world, including Liberia, Ethiopia, India, Singapore, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, and of course the United States. I also decided to move to a daily devotion online, just so that we could stay connected. And so every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock, I was online with all of you each and every day for a midday devotion. And little did I know how many people would end up tuning in each and every week over the period of the next several months. Unfortunately, with COVID-19 restrictions, Chrysalis ended up having to close on March 22nd. After Chrysalis closed for COVID, Chrysalis received a PPP loan for $134,200. It allowed Chrysalis to continue to pay their employees. It allowed them to stay afloat, and we are ever so grateful. They also received a federal disaster grant for $10,000, and that helped get them through some difficult times. Chrysalis was able to reopen just for essential workers on May 3rd. All families were eligible to enroll beginning on May 18th. As of today, Chrysalis has 72 children enrolled, which is awesome considering the circumstances. And Chrysalis currently has 22 staff members. So continue to keep Chrysalis in your prayers for good health and safety and increased enrollment as things hopefully get back to normal in the new year. They continue to take children's temperature before entering, sanitizing, changing shoes, and having all COVID-19 emergency childcare settings and special considerations for infection control in place. We are grateful to Vicki and to all the staff for hanging in there through some truly difficult times. In late March of 2020, several of our life group leaders were asked to lead Zoom online groups. This is the first time that we ever attempted to try to do Zoom life groups in this manner. We had attempted before to do some sort of online, but it just never worked. Well, COVID-19 forced us to have to do that. At a time when everyone was feeling pretty disconnected, it seemed important to offer an opportunity to gather online with other Christians and share our thoughts and our lives. The Sunday Morning Discovery Time group also began meeting online in April. This group has continued to gather to support one another through the pandemic. One group discussed a book, others were based on Sunday's message, and some of these groups continued throughout the summer based on the needs of each and every group. In the midst of everything, Messiah was quick to identify ways to help our community that was in desperate need during this time. And Messiah didn't sit idly by, and Messiah members stepped up. In March, Terry's Hope launched, which are weekly deliveries of fresh produce to those who are in need at the Manor at Jersey Village, and as well as senior citizen centers. Because of requests for more assistance throughout that time, they ended up increasing the number of grocery bags with fresh produce, and sometimes other items, from 30 bags to 44 bags each and every time over the course of the year. And weekly delivery of produce, except for Thanksgiving and Christmas, continued to happen throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We had 25 to 30 volunteers over the course of 2020 who helped with the assembly of those bags or the delivery. We also received grant money for 100 boxes of non-perishable food. There was the first $500 grant, a daily bread grant, with a matching grant from our congregation. We were able to raise $500, and that grant matched it to give us $1,000. That helped us to have approximately 2,800 meals distributed during the time of last year. Plus, 42 individuals participated in the service work. That wasn't counting those who gave money. They decorated and filled and delivered those 100 boxes of non-perishable goods for the residents at the Manor at Jersey Village, which is an affordable 55-plus housing apartment complex with many residents needing assistance. And then with the remaining money, Messiah was also able to provide 35 to 40 bags of fresh produce for the residents on a weekly basis for 8 weeks. Listen to this and understand the why behind what we did. To all who have helped, thank you for the so many weeks of providing such good food to the Manor of Jersey Village. From many kinds of soup to tasty snacks, from fresh fruits, apples, oranges, grapes, strawberries, potatoes, fresh green beans, and several kinds of pastas and sauces and canned veggies, you have helped us all. May God help you rescue all you can as you labor in your vineyard. That was from the Manor of Jersey Village. In total, our donations for this project totaled $11,434. Let's not also forget Cypress Assistance Ministries. We supported Cam's Food Pantry. For 19 weeks, we provided extra food for Cam's Food Pantry. And after that, Cam started getting significant donations. We give thanks for Christy and Rick Music, who purchased all of those food items, along with Susan Valenron and Russell Halverson. In total, you donated $7,473 to help stock Cypress Assistance Ministries Food Pantry. In April, we usually, around Easter time, would have our Journey to the Cross. Unfortunately, that was not able to happen. And yet, we still wanted to help people celebrate Holy Week. And so, Michelle, along with the Children, Youth, and Family Ministry, created a video using artwork and photos done by our congregation to put together a virtual last week of Jesus Christ. We also would do this for Night in Bethlehem. We had so many talented people who helped, from John and Kay White, who did the narration, to Ali Goodwin, who helped us put those videos together. It was a virtual way for all of us to experience both the last week of Christ and the birth of Christ in a special and unique way this year. In May, Children, Youth, and Family started beginning Zoom calls weekly with all of their different ages until the summer hit. And they also celebrated all graduations with yard signs this year, celebrating those milestones of pre-K, 5th, 8th, and graduating seniors. And we were grateful that we were able to do that this year. We continued helping our community through a blood drive that Heather Hughes continued to put together for us in May, August, and November. And all three were very successful, socially distant blood drives. Total this year was 77 donors who collected 90 units, and that had the possibility of saving 270 lives. Laura was interviewed by a paper prior to the May blood drive, which also helped give our community a little spotlight on what we were doing. We appreciate all of the regular donors. They truly do give from their heart. We continued with our prison ministry for this year, putting together hygiene bags. Overall, 5 pickup truck deliveries to youth unit in Navasota happened in May. 3 different trips. In the second quarter, we also did hygiene bags with 247 tubes of toothpaste, 344 deodorants, 374 bars of soap that were donated. And we give thanks that we are able to continue to do this vital and important ministry. Well, we finally hit summer, June. Summer camp began on June 1st for Chrysalis. 9 sessions of action-packed cruising fun. On June 14th, Chrysalis celebrated their 2020 pre-K graduates in the parking lot. Everyone was so happy to see one another again. Cars were decorated and laughter filled the air. We were able to supply special yard signs for each graduate. I, Pastor Brad, helped provide some special music. The children got to sing, they graduated, and then it rained. I remember that. It was a great way to end the year. And Mr. Ron, it continues to be a huge success with the children as he educates them about gardening and using hands-on experiences throughout the summer. Unfortunately, Camp Hope did not get to happen this year. We are blessed to have an amazing staff who wanted to participate for the summer regardless of what would happen, and 2 wonderful and hardworking managers. But of course, we just couldn't pull it off this year, and we ended up not being able to do it. But yet, we still wanted to show our love and to support to our staff who were still hoping to have that job for 3 weeks this summer. So in order to do that, we showed them our love. We gave each of them a camp shirt, a gift card, and masks that had been made for them by the wonderful women in our congregation. And we wanted them to know that we cared deeply for them and hope that they could come back next summer in 2021 when we are hoping to be able to do Camp Hope yet again. In August, we were able to celebrate our graduating senior milestones. We celebrated it with our graduating seniors on August 2nd before they started heading out on their next adventure. We moved this to the parking lot, which was a very warm day, especially with a blanket around them, but we were glad that we could still celebrate with them and send them off knowing that they are loved and that they are blessed. We also celebrated other milestones. We were able to still do our Bible milestones and get Bibles into the hands of our new pre-K, 3rd, and 7th grade students this year. We didn't have class together, but we sure made sure each student was able to get that Bible with their name calligraphied inside of them. Discovery time each month had families pick up a bag full of crafts and coloring pages and activities for them to do for that month to learn more about God and our relationships with God. Then every other week, Desi Lancaster put together a video for them where they get to sing and dance and listen to that week's lesson. Children, Youth, and Family continue to do weekly devotions and chats for both middle school and high school students as well. Each week, one of our adults put together a short video talking about a story for the week and reflecting on what it means to them. And then as a group, they would check in with one another and try to have conversations around the questions from that week. Well, we finally reached the fall of 2020. Things still weren't all that great yet, but yet we wanted to do something. Our teachers were back at school, hard at work, doing some amazing things under some really hard circumstances. And as a token of thanks, we were able to send them gift cards at the beginning of the year with a cookie gift card for Christmas. You know, we have about 45 teachers in our congregation, which is absolutely amazing, and we are ever so grateful for each and every one of them and all of our teachers. We also got to do a back-to-school cookie treat for the teachers and staff at Lambkin and Chrysalis. 110 at Lambkin and our 25 at Chrysalis. So thank you for your generous support of that. And then we started a new life group session in September. Some groups were able to kind of meet now in person outdoors, social distance with their masks. Others continued to meet online via Zoom. And we were still able to offer 5 life groups that ended in November. And then in September, we had a night of hope, a joint outdoor night worship of praise and prayer with our fellow brothers and sisters at Ruach. Wow, what an amazing evening for all of us to finally come together after so long of being separated, socially distanced in our parking lot, and to be able to sing and give praise and honor to God in worship together with so many amazing, talented, and skilled musicians. We give thanks and praise to Pastor Roland and Zionette and Roland and all of our praise vocals for that night, who continue to lead us each and every Sunday morning, at least once a month, with our Sacred Edge group. In the fall, our garden continued to do amazing things. A new shed was installed, and it looked absolutely amazing. A new greenhouse was ordered and purchased and should be put together and installed sometime the first or second week of January, funded by money from a grant that they were able to get. There were 17 panels for our new compost bins. The Boy Scouts donated the wood and provided the labor, and they've been using temporary compost bins to prepare compost needed to double the garden beds that we currently have. They also started a compost program with Chrysalis and our congregation, and a compost bin is now in front of the fellowship hall for all of you to deposit bag compost like brown material, fall leaves, pine needles, non-glossy newspaper, shredded office paper, and then green materials such as vegetable and fruit waste, eggshells, coffee grounds, filters, and tea bags. Compost is important because it regenerates the soil needed in ways and avoids our use of chemicals. Messiah also was then able to initiate a Cypress community garden network. Again, another way to understand the community part. While visiting other community gardens in Cypress to understand best practices, our community garden folks began to envision a network. The Cypress Community Garden Network then began to form. And it advocates for establishing more community gardens in and around Cypress, sharing resources and best practices with one another, working with local businesses for mutual benefit, and caring for people with food insecurities. What an amazing thing. Multiple articles in the Chronicle and local newspapers were written about donations to community gardens. And we also sent letters to 30 churches who support Cypress Assistance Ministries to encourage them in starting a community garden and to offer our support for their startup. And starting in January, we will begin meeting with St. John's Lutheran Church. Well, then we got to October, and we were able to somewhat come back to worship in person. As more information had been coming out about the COVID virus, we realized that it would still not be possible to resume regular rehearsals for our choirs and handbells, but yet the Sacred Edge Band continued to help lead our worship at our 9:30 worship, and we added back our 8 o'clock traditional worship to our regular schedule. Matt provided vocal and instrumental leadership for our 8 o'clock service. A few of our handbell ringers agreed to play for 2 of our special services, and we were ever grateful for them for playing, which certainly enhanced our worship experience. And then we were able to add a playground for our infants and toddlers over at Chrysalis, and we give thanks to our Chrysalis board who was instrumental in adding this. The additional playground allows for opportunities for exploration and physical development. Our Chrysalis board chair, Amy Muchler, implemented the ABC Cookie Dough fundraiser, which helped netted a profit of $804.68. And Fall Fest happened inside of the classrooms this year. There was lots of fun and cute costumes, games, songs, finger plays, stories, and yummy party food. And it also included learning about leaves changing colors and exploring the insides of pumpkins. Oh my. Pumpkins, owls, scarecrows, turkeys, pilgrims. Chrysalis was blessed our parents by videoing and emailing the Thanksgiving sing-along program this year along with the lyrics, and parents shared this blessing with their relatives and their friends. We usually get to have a huge celebration in May when it comes to our confirmation students. But because of COVID, we weren't able to do that. But we were finally able to do that on Reformation Sunday. And we were excited that we were finally able to celebrate with our 6 students and their families as they reaffirmed their baptismal promises. In November 2020, Messiah welcomed 2 families into membership via in-person New Beginnings events. And what was amazing about this was that our new members had never stepped foot in our congregation before the pandemic. They joined because they had been worshiping with us online. What an amazing thing. We were able to provide Thanksgiving gift cards to both Lambkin and Chrysalis staff. Teachers and staff got $3 gift cards from PJ's Coffee, and we were able to distribute 110 of those at Lambkin and 25 at Chrysalis. The donations from the congregation for this project helped to cover some back to school and COVID stuff for both Lambkin and Chrysalis. Our college care packages went out to our students during their finals. This year we knew they needed them more than ever. Even though students were home this past spring, we still wanted to show them that we cared about them. And we were able to mail 34 packages in the spring and 44 this fall. In December, we were able to have our first communion milestone. We had 4 students participate in our first communion class and take communion for the first time on Sunday, December 13th together. Those students were Weston Avis, Finian and Freya Chenier, and Logan Otto. We did a class on Saturday, and then they received communion on that Sunday using chalices that were gifted to us from our friends from Bethlehem, made from olive wood from the Holy Land. Over at Chrysalis, all students were taught about the birth of Jesus, and they were able to celebrate his birth with a birthday party. Cake and ice cream was served. Wow, what an amazing thing. Christmas muffins were provided for Lambkin and Chrysalis in keeping with the 12 days of Christmas. Teachers and staff received 2 big muffins and 2 turtle doves. We were able to distribute 110 of those at Lambkin and 25 at Chrysalis. We give thanks to Dana Quinlan for being a creative gem during this COVID season. And then Messiah, you stepped up big through our Christmas gift giving with an overwhelming positive response from this congregation. 18 children received at least 8 gifts each. Messiah members even invited colleagues to help. Some members bought gifts and others gave money to have gifts bought. This congregation has been great at sharing what they have. 610 bags from other churches and 750 bags from Messiah for a total of 1,360 bags. That's 3 pickup trucks of prison hygiene bags were able to be delivered. Thank you, Messiah. And then Christmas Eve came. We joined Ruach again for combined services on Christmas Eve. Similar to the Night of Hope, we had musicians from both congregations, and we were able to worship together both at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in our parking lot. And then at 7 o'clock, we were able to do an online traditional worship. We all know that even in the midst of joy of the Christmas season, there is usually a lot of stress. And we were grateful that Matt took on a little bit more extra stress in having all of those wonderful Christmas hymns adapted so that the band could play them. Wow. What an amazing year. You know, you think, we probably didn't do that much last year. But when you think about it, we did a whole lot. I've given you a lot of numbers in this report. right? And they're impressive. They're very impressive. But here's what I want you to know. Behind each of those numbers are real people who have real stories and real lives. There are parents who have lost jobs and are worried about paying rent and utilities, about putting food on the table. Senior citizens who are struggling to live on very limited funds, and in some instances are unable to even get to stores. Teachers and staff who are struggling to teach and care for children under unbelievable circumstances. And yet there you were, Messiah, in the midst of it all, helping and loving our community. Yes, it may not have been a normal year, but to say that nothing happened is simply untrue. In my opinion, it was probably one of the most successful years in terms of ministry that I have seen in my 11 years here at Messiah. And it is thanks to all of you. I want to give thanks to you. I want to give thanks to our incredible staff, to our council, to the staff and director Vicki Bourne over at Chrysalis and the board of directors at Chrysalis for keeping that program afloat during some unbelievably difficult times. Because without all of you, none of this would be possible. So now, here's 2021. And we run into 2021 with perseverance, with courage and strength, as we look towards the Holy Spirit to guide us. God bless.